Well, hey, I'm Gareth with Skewed and Reviewed. How are you doing today?
Hi, good.
Hi, Gareth.
Hello.
Garrett,
Hello. Oh, I love your collection. That is impressive.
thank you.
So I guess I'll start right off since I know we're limited on time and your schedule's busy. I would like to know what was, from each of you, what was the most challenging part of your job for this, for Guardians 3?
I'll take it first. I think the most challenging part was setting because we had the absolute volume that we had to do on this movie, right? We applied over 22,542 prosthetics. We had over 1,000 background actors and stuff, and so really it was staying organized with that. It was making sure that through this heartfelt story that James is telling and this big space adventure that he was that we're trying to portray, that we had so much variety in characters and in prosthetics and in things to make, that we really wanted to make the quality as high quality as possible. So the people in the deep background of these worlds were the same quality as the people up front. And so I think that was a big challenge in setting up our big teams. We had over 150 hair and makeup people at one point, and that's a lot of people to organize, and that's a lot of makeups going on. So I think it was just making sure that everybody was set up for success and making sure that the quality was exactly what we needed it to be.
Okay. So what would you say, which one was the hardest of all the makeup jobs? Which one was the most challenging day in and day out?
That's a good one. I think that when we got to the humanimals, I think
Mm.
that was a particular challenging for us because it was shot later on during like in like the third quarter of the movie. So it was a completely new prosthetics. It was a new color palette. It was and there we had up to 30 humanimals in makeups plus our cast plus a background that had masks on or some kind of makeup, a lighter makeup, and so it was we had over what 80 people in prosthetics at those times, and the only person that wasn't in prosthetic was Chris Pratt. Everybody else was, and so it was. So I think that was the most challenging, and to make sure that the quality was great and the quality of our application was correct, and so I think that was a particular challenging moment. I'm really happy with the results of it.
So I'm curious, how do you balance? I know some shows in the past have gone to like a digital makeup, like CGIing the makeup and stuff like that. How do you decide? I'm wondering if it's the director or such early on, we got to go with the practical makeup, we got to go with CGI makeup, or we have to go with the blend. How does that get sorted out?
Well, it sort of
Yeah.
starts when we're designing the characters. So, um, James Gunn is an incredible collaborator and person in general, but he really gives you the freedom to come up with a design that he hasn't seen before, and so as you're designing, you want to make it as neat and something you've wanted to try in the past, you haven't had an opportunity to. So those things were something that were in our minds here at the studio as we were designing. And I think that, building a lot of different things with, the materials that we're using, we did a lot of rapid prototype for these characters that we hadn't done before and how to do it so that we help the costume department get things in and out of quickly. How do we do it so that Cassie's hair department are able to get their heads wrapped quick enough to get to Alexei's team to apply the makeups, and then go back to Cassie's team to add the hair. So there's a lot of juggling that you do on set, but also the juggling you're doing back at the studio to make sure you're thinking about what their day is going to be like in 3 months' time,
Mm,
whilst you're starting the whole process at the beginning.
that's,
Yeah, and really too, we're so lucky that James Gunn is a champion of practical makeup effects, right? So when you're on set and you have someone with tracking markers on their face, everyone looks at them and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. What are you going to be?" And then, but when you have someone in practical makeup come to set with teeth and with contacts and with the full thing, everybody looks at it and goes, "Whoa!" And they are that alien. So it really, I think it brings out a special acting skill. You know, I mean, it brings out a certain response to people that I think that it really helps with having that a practical thing. So I think that that's, you know, there's some things that can be achieved with digital makeups, and sometimes there's a mix of both. That's you know that's the best. But I think that having a practical makeup is still helpful for so many elements of this process.
We had a great VFX supervisor on the show, Steph Soretti. He again, wonderful team there to collaborate with. And so when we were designing certain characters, we up front were like, okay, the design of this is they're going to have really big eyes because this moment in the script where like so the character alien, carrot headed alien, the orange headed alien, you know, his eyes had to really like be big. And so we knew designing it and building it that those eyes would have a digital blink to them. And so you always talk back and forth with the director and the VFX team to make sure that you're delivering something that they can help elevate a little bit more on, you know, in post. And so, you know, this particular movie was great from that perspective that we got the opportunity to do so much and still be able to have little moments where you put in a blink here, a little blink there that you to just, you know, bring it that little bit notch that you plan in advance that's what's going to happen.
So I'm curious, taking, for example, David and Zoe, how did their makeup evolve over the 3 films and for some extent the television special? Because did you find new ways to do things and make it easier, or did you have to just kind of stick with what worked the first time around and essentially repeat the process?
Well, yeah, well, with all of the makeup from all the Guardians, we're always looking at a way to improve on it, and we're always looking a way like there's new makeup that comes out that's maybe not, you know, a little less fragrant, maybe a little less alcohol based. So like we're always looking at like what is best for the skin, what because we're running a marathon here, not just a sprint, right? We're doing this for months, and so we really need to make sure that everybody's skin is taken care of, and so it's just always little tweaks. It's little tweaks and figuring out how to do things faster. And then you know, and things like Gamora's hair, that was different, and Cassie can talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say that was my next question, was the hair and how it changed.
Yeah, that was a cool design aspect that sort of started at the beginning with the costume design and her being a Ravager now. So we've taken Gamora out of, you know, being the Gamora that everyone once knew. And now she's this new, you know, sort of grungy Gamora. And so her hair designer was actually Peter Tothpal. He's been with her for years and years. And so that was sort of a big collaboration, I think, between Legacy Effects, building the wig, and Juliana, our costume designer, and with Zoe's input as well. And so they came up with this, you know, very gritty, long, like unkempt situation. And I mean, I think that this is the best Gamora has ever looked. I love Ravager Gamora. She's super cool.
So hair-wise, let's talk about that. What was your favorite and what was the most challenging for you with all the hairstyles?
You know, gosh, my favorite. It's so hard to pick a favorite because you grow with every character that you do. And so it's so hard to pick a favorite. It's like impossible. I had a really good time doing Ura, to pronounce it Ura, with Daniela. That was a fun character to create. And she was just in for a really short time. So it was just kind of this like little snippet, but we had probably, I think, the best time with the Humanimals, and we got to let our creativity just fly. And thankfully to Legacy for really allowing us to be creative with their designs. And then same to James Gunn, who just really allowed us to do what we what we wanted to do. We had a good time. So the Humanimals probably, maybe those are my favorite. If I'm choosing, it's the Humanimals.
So I guess
because
oh, go ahead.
Well, yeah, because you guys were doing 80s looks with around, you were doing 80s curls, but then also like, some things were more animal, but some things, were a little more human-like. So you guys did a really great job of styling everything, and the wigs were amazing because all of them were custom wigs. All of them were one-off lace pieces. So it was really cool to see that whole process happen.
Yeah, it was a giant puzzle piece around all of the prosthetics. And we had to make sure that we were, if we needed to cover an edge, could we cover an edge? Like, how were we doing it? And making sure that everything matched. And it was really cool to see the costume designs. And that was what we did. We tried, like, one of the wigs we permed because we were like, well, this wig needs a perm, so let's give it a perm. And so thankfully we had the time. And we had a really good time with those, with all of that hair. Thanks, Alexei.
It was very interesting too with Booster. I was like, now that just popped. I remember the moment they first appear on the screen, you're like, wow, the hair, the skin, and the costume, everything popped. And you're like, that is a memorable character. But even though they were new, they fit right in perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So that was really good. So I guess the last question I would have, and this is probably a tricky one, so I'll try to keep it simple. If Rocket and Groot were to have hair and have a hairstyle and a makeover, what do you think they would choose?
Oh my gosh, Rocket and Groot. What a question.
I know.
Here's the thing. That question is so perfect for James Gunn. And let me explain. James knows everything before we could even dream it up, and if we were to ever come to him with that question, he would tell us exactly what it is, why it is, how it is, like how it came to be, the origin of it. Like, if Rocket suddenly now has like a mohawk, he would tell us, this is why he has a mohawk and this is the origin of it. And so I feel like I can't even answer that question with justice because he would be the person that would ultimately have the greatest answer with every reason behind it. It's so intentional with him.
That's a good answer.
I think Rocket would have a mohawk, and I think Groot would have some like cool leaves that would maybe come up on his up on his back, almost like a werewolf type of thing. Like, and you would have leaves that go all the way down. That's what
like teenage Groot might have like some leaves that come out with like a piercing now, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah. I thought maybe leaves like a perm, but borderline 70s hippie look. But yeah, I like that's good. That is really good. All right. Well, I really appreciate all your time today. Thank you so much for taking the time and answering them in such great detail.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.